Sommelier Joshua Tice with Radio Milano is sharing the splurges and steals. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
This is always a great segment. I love when we do this because when I feel like sometimes when I'm looking for a nice bottle of wine, I think, do I need to buy the top of the line to have a good bottle of wine? I mean, what's your take?
No, not at all. I think honestly, a lot of people get caught up with the idea that the more expensive a bottle of wine is, the better it is. Really, sometimes you're paying for a name, not quality. And if you just kind of find the right places to go, you can get amazing quality for lower prices.
So true. And it's overwhelming, too, when you go to the wine shop or the grocery store. There's so many options to choose from. So thank you for boiling it down to a few great options for us today. Turns out, by the way, the rosé that Courtney and I were drinking at the top of the show, that was the Steel.
Absolutely.
The cheaper one.
Absolutely.
So why don't we start with the cheap one? I know the more expensive one is here, but tell us what we were drinking at the start.
So the start of it was actually the Villa Wolf. It's a rosé at Pinot Noir. It's coming from Pfalz in Germany. It's probably one of the warmer regions within Germany, so they're able to mess around and do different styles that the northern regions are too cold to actually handle.
It's very nice.
Soft, crisp, a lot of fruits on it.
And $10 to $14?
10 to 14. I mean, maybe even less than 10 in some places.
Okay, and all these wines are available at Specs?
Specs, Total Wine, Central Market. Those are the best bets for pretty much all of them.
Remember
Villa
that label. Okay, then the Sancerre, that's the more expensive rosé
It
here.
is. So this one's coming from Domaine de la Porte. It's coming from Sancerre in France, which, if you're familiar with the Loire Valley, that's where like the best Sauvignon Blancs are. That's traditional, like that's the bar. So you would think that the rosé is still kind of that same crisp, high acid, just really expressive of a minerality that would be found even in the white side.
Nice and totally different. I do like
is.
this wine. I think I would prefer the cheaper one, though.
Can I like both?
You can absolutely like both.
Okay, so if rosé isn't your thing, we're also talking about whites. I love that you added in a Greek wine.
It's Greek's popular. It exploded on the scene about 5-6 years ago, and it's just kind of kept its momentum, especially here in Houston.
And this one is from Santorini?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
so-
like it already. Let's go for it.
So this one's a Assyrtiko. So when you're actually drinking Greek Assyrtiko, most of them are going to be from Santorini because that's where the best ones are. It's grown elsewhere, but this is where you want to go if you want to do a good Assyrtiko.
What should we be smelling? What should we be tasting on?
I always like to tell people that Assyrtiko is kind of like a buffed up Sauvignon Blanc. So if you like high acid, citrus, lime, lemon, grapefruit, just a very sharp minerality with a little bit of sea salt, this is exactly where you're going with this one.
I really like it, but the high acid does not taste too intense to me. I mean, this tastes like a very drinkable, almost too drinkable
Very light.
wine.
Very light. It's going to be a lighter style of wine.
Almost like a glass of water.
Almost, but not
Throwback and
really. Okay, so the price on this one is...
Usually your 30 to 40 is usually a good range with it.
Okay.
Usually the mid-30s is the best bet.
And you get that from Total Wine.
Total Wine, absolutely, yes.
All right, let's move on to the white steel. And this is something that you say is also available all over the place. Specs,
Yes.
Central Market, Whole Foods.
Central Market is probably the most presence for this one particularly. It's a really unique Italian wine. It's from Lugana in Lombardy. It's using a kind of a local grape known as Trebbiano.
Okay.
So again, this is going to be actually a lighter style than the Assyrtiko, less acid, but a lot more floral, a lot more fresh fruits like peach and apricot.
Oh, wow.
$15. That label is great for Pride Month, by the way. Stock up on that for your party.
This has that, like, bouquet at the end. It's very pretty.
It just stays with you all the way through. The finish is long-lasting, but it doesn't stick to your palate.
I'm going to need more hands, Joshua.
This is definitely
I
a wine
really,
you can
I mean,
go
I
for.
like this. That one was good.
Good breakfast wine for you, Courtney.
It is, definitely.
Let's get a little bit darker now with the reds.
That's a
What'd
good
you
way
bring
to go.
today?
So we'll start with the splurge style. Still sticking with the Mediterranean, we're going into Spain, specifically Rioja. This is Marqués de Caceres, sorry, my apologies. Gran Reserva. So this means it's aged for a little bit longer than most wines that are coming out of Rioja, 5 years. And it's going to be a mix of Tempranillo, Garnacha, and Graciano. So there's going to be an oak presence to this wine, which is going to make it a little bit bigger, but it's really well balanced with just some really good expression of both the earth from Rioja, dry, dusty, and heat, and just kind of like these like reduced like blackberries and dark fruits.
This is very nice. I can imagine this with a nice piece of chocolate.
I could too.
Right?
And it's funny because the aroma, the fragrance of this wine, that is what I noticed right away. It feels very sophisticated. I'm not even a red wine drinker typically.
Really?
This is delicious.
I love it. 45 bucks about?
Max, I'd actually probably even put this towards like the mid-30s as well.
Really? Okay, Total Wine. So grab that label. Now we're going to move over to the splurge. And what do you have here?
One of my actually favorites. So this is called Torrenzio. It's a producer out of northern
Sorry,
Italy.
the steel. The steel, right?
Michael, yes. Called Torrenzio. It's out of northern Italy in Alto Adige. They do a mix of all different wines. They have different labels for everything. But this one's the Pinot Nero, which is just Italian for Pinot Noir. So it's
Oh,
a good,
okay,
So if anybody
okay.
ever throws that, it's just the same thing
Oh, you're
on
kidding.
it.
I have
Just
never heard
fancy.
that. Pinot Nero, N-E-R-O.
It's just Italian for red, whereas Noir is for French.
Well, I'm going to start saying Pinot Nero. And by the way, while we enjoy this last steal, I think it is so cool, Josh, that you left your career, certified nursing assistant, to follow your passion for wine.
Kind of got into restaurants just kind of called to me, started working in them, and then I didn't really want to get out. And then I eventually found out after bartending for several years that I can make a career out of this, like drinking wine and studying it. And so then I just jumped right in.
And not to downplay it, it's a big deal to be a certified, to be a sommelier. I mean, the amount of testing and sampling that you have to do. I mean, even just smelling it, you have to know the region and just by smelling, right?
Smelling and tasting. We can taste it, so we can go off of both of those, yeah.
It's just mind-boggling.
You have to know
me.
the region just by smelling and then tasting.
Region, type of grape, and when it was produced. So the year.
Wow, not an easy job,
I
right?
know.
Well, no wonder there are so few sommeliers in the world. By the way, there is a little sommelier Q&A on our website and a little portion where Joshua is going to share what he looks for when he's shopping for wines, his thoughts on seasonal drinking, and a whole lot more. Josh Theis, thank you so much for stopping by.
Appreciate y'all coming in. Thank y'all for showing off the wine.
Yes,
Y'all have a
thank you.
wonderful
And
one.
go see him at Radio Milano. Definitely a great place.